Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome back to Mass Effect 2, where this is going to be a little bit of an odder recording. It's a more unusual recording, due to some audio issues that happened while making the original recording, during the first recording process. I had recorded while playing this section of the game. This is actually being recorded afterwards. And the first recording had a very strange kind of interference that was going on. And I feel that there might have been something wrong with the microphone, there might have been something wrong with the plug into the microphone. I admit, the plug that connects the microphone from the computer to the microphone itself is a bit on the looser side. If I nudge the microphone over, the cord will unplug itself, almost guaranteed. So that could have also led to the interference. But the problem with said interference, there's already interference with the room itself. I record from the basement. The basement has the furnace. The furnace turns on every so often because the house needs heat. It is almost winter. It has already begun to snow. And every so often the furnace is going to turn on. In the summertime, the air conditioner turns on. And the hum of either of those things is a cause of concern in regards to just the recording process. But with Audacity, there's the ability to filter that out. But you'll still kind of hear the hum in the background whenever I speak. It usually gets masked by in-game noises, in-game music, in-game action. For this interference, that interference is just over everything.
Welcome to the Purgatory, Shepard. Your package is being prepped.
So that's the main reason why I'm re-recording this entire episode. It's not exactly something that I would like to do, but I don't think I would be necessarily happy uploading this with such crappy audio. Also, both of those options, I'll keep my weapons and it's not going to happen, are the same.
It's my standard procedure to keep my gun.
I don't necessarily... one of the main criticisms that Mass Effect usually gets is that it lays out these choices for you, and the choices lead to the same things. And that's very clear in that interaction. Your choice is either to say no or hell no. What does that really say for you as a character? Also,
is a self-contained modular unit.
This looks like a prison that Riddick might have escaped from.
The ship is made up of 30 cell blocks identical to this one. We house thousands of criminals.
I believe the number is 4,053, according to the information, but it could actually increase due to overcrowding. Though, I have a question, how does this kind of prison... oh, by the way, nothing goes wrong here. The Turian says right before everything goes wrong.
The handful of violence and hate I've ever encountered. Dangerous, crazy, and very powerful. You'll see soon enough.
How does a prison overcrowd if there are specific numbers of cells? Do they kind of bunk people together?
Seeing criminals escape out into the galaxy to carry on with their crimes. Bounty hunters aren't dependable.
You're not hiring the right ones.
Eventually I hit upon this idea. Keep the criminals in space, and the galaxy is a safer place.
You do this because you think it's necessary?
Every day I see the worst.
I keep a prison profit that runs on profits running in space,
Maintaining a population this size in space can't be
holding on to various
We can cut
criminals.
corners that governments can't, and each
Not
person
for
brings in
money.
a fee from his home world. These individuals are violent.
Or evil.
Their home planets pay well.
But for
them.
good.
What happens if the homeworld doesn't want to pay?
We explain that we can't maintain the prisoner without their help, so we'll be forced to release him back onto his homeworld at an unspecified place and time.
Sounds a bit like extortion.
You don't have to agree with my methods, but don't question my motives. These are despicable people, and I'm keeping them locked up.
So the end justifies the means.
Let's get on with this.
Anyone ever tried to escape?
Also, it's interesting that Zaid is getting so much dialogue.
But still, we exercise extreme caution.
Like on the ship, he doesn't really have a specific set of dialogue. He just kind of says individual lines.
We have many ways to control the population.
Ah, okay. Now I think I figured out how that works.
I'm going to confirm
Like that
the
thing
funds
that
will
just
separate
kind of
sphere.
pulled them away from each other.
Processing is straight down
It
the
doesn't
spine.
actually pull them away from each other. It just
Run
creates
past
a
these
shield,
vision rooms and the
and
surveillance
the shield around each individual person pushed them away from each other, rather than
with you
it
later.
pulling them separately. I didn't really think about that because you don't really see them used until the end of this area when you fight this prison warden. Spoilers: the prison warden on this profit prison is corrupt. Who would have thought? By the way, this prison is being run by the Blue Suns, which is a gang and not an
No excuse for
actual,
beating a prisoner who can't
like,
fight
government-run facility.
Compared to what his victims went through.
back. This degrades you as much as him.
We have orders.
You're not important enough to make your own decisions.
I admit, I sometimes get tired of this. Does this really get us anything useful?
Stop this.
Sometimes I tire of the beatings,
Yeah, you're right.
but not today. Keep beating him. It's also kind of interesting that you run into the interrogation first, and then you run into Prisoner 780, because Prisoner 780 actually tells you a little bit about the guy who's being beaten.
Gotta be better than this.
Don't get your hopes up, kid. We're here for Jack.
Jack.
Also, notice
Yeah,
that
what I just
Kasumi
said.
doesn't
I
get
don't
that
wanna go
line,
nowhere with you.
because it would be, like, it just kind of shows you how much more of a DLC
Worst
character
troubles
she
you ever
is
saw.
in comparison
Crazy
to
and
Zaid.
Way too much biotic power.
Like, that she
That's all
doesn't
I'm
actually
saying.
get any lines in this mission, but Zaid gets all of those other extra ones.
I thought this ship was a prison, not a market.
Sometimes people buy cons so they can do some
Also,
fun
I
shit
have
their own.
absolutely no idea what I was
Order
doing there.
sells us to whoever can pay enough.
Why are they interrogating that prisoner? He knows something?
Nah, that's Bimmy. He don't know nothing. He offed someone in the showers yesterday, I think. Guy he killed was worth a lot to the warden. Yeah, sucks to be Bimmy right now.
Yep, it sucks to be the guy that's being punched in the
Ever kill prisoners
face.
By accident?
Haven't heard of anyone dying. Warden can't make money off us if we're dead. Funny thing though, the more a guard does it, the meaner he gets. So they rotate him through.
Yeah, sorry, you're on a prisoner beating
So,
probation.
you inform.
You're gonna have to
Killed a few
hold back for a month.
What
We
about
don't
one
want you to
yourself?
become
That looks like
addicted
one
to
habitat.
beating
Small
prisoners.
time compared to most of the guys here.
Oh, by the way, this guy, he only committed small acts of genocide. Like, this is a small time in comparison to the other people over here.
Bad. And you gotta watch out. Damn, but someone's always after your stuff. Your smokes, clothes, your pride.
He's talking about his
I haven't
butt.
taken a shower in 3 months.
That sounds
Wish I
horrible.
could go.
Although I would imagine if he has a sink there, like it looks like they have sinks and or toilets.
I hear the screaming in my head.
So at the very least, they've got some sort of means of acquiring fresh water. So in theory, you don't need to take a shower. But I would imagine you'd want some sort of fresh clothing. Also, where does this go?
This is the Supermax wing. It's off
It's the
limits.
Supermax wing.
Back down the hall on your right. They'll bring your package there after the private thoughts finish.
Alas, for now, the
Processing's through the
the
door.
wild speed Supermax wing is just too fast and too furious for Shepard and crew. Also, this is clearly not a trap.
My apologies, Shepard. You're more valuable as a prisoner than a customer.
Oh no, it was a trap.
Drop your weapons and proceed into this open cell. You will not be harmed.
You talked up your noble intentions with this prison, but it turns out you're a criminal like the rest.
Activate systems.
You know, it sounds like he's activating gun turrets, but no gun turrets turn on. No doors are locked. Like, he just sends a bunch of gangsters in to take you out. To kill you. Despite the fact that you'd be more used to him alive than dead. Also, like, he presented the idea that governments pay him to hold on to individuals. Like, is he expecting somebody to pay for Shepard?
Have you been drinking?
Although, not just Shepard though, but also the other two people. Like, what was his plan? Was his plan to capture Shepard and Zaid and Kasumi? And then what about the people on the Normandy? Are they just gonna leave empty-handed? Are they going to also kidnap the people on the Normandy? And also make an enemy out of Cerberus? Like, their plan seems really short-sighted. Also, that technician's plan was also very short-sighted. I have no armor or skills, so I'll just stand out in the open and
way to get Jack out of there.
hope for the
Doing
best.
it. Be ready.
Also, it's interesting to note that up until this point, nobody specifies if Jack is a he or she. They always say, oh, Jack there? There's never been such a mean prisoner aboard this ship. Just so you can have this reveal that Jack is this
That's Jack.
bald, barely clothed biotic. That was a lot more alliteration than I was expecting. Also, I believe Jack is supposed to be one of the L2s, and that's something that is introduced in Mass Effect 1 with Kate and Alenko.
Let's move.
By the way, I don't believe she actually gets the ability to do a super biotic punch in gameplay, which would be very useful to have. Although that could also be something that's a discussion in itself. The idea of like things that characters do in gameplay that don't match up with what they do in cinema. Like, I remember there was the beginning of the game Lost Odyssey, where the hero like does these jumps, flips. He's like super awesome, kills everybody, and then when you finally get to the gameplay, and the gameplay is just this turn-based thing, and it's like, oh, okay, all these awesome things that you did, they're not repeated in gameplay, and that's something that makes me very purposefully distrustful of a lot of CG trailers, because a lot of CG trailers, like, just because they're trying to show you the style and the story, especially of MMOs. Like, you look at the CG trailer for the Elder Scrolls game that was not the Elder Scrolls Online expansion, which involves dragons. Like, the characters are doing these jumps, these dives. Alright, let's switch to the sniper rifle here real quick, like. They're doing these jumps and dives, and you know none of it is possible in-game. Like, in-game, like, there's going to be that very, very specific set of abilities. Let's switch to the flamethrower, finish this guy off. I'm sure Zaid can handle the heat. But, like, you can't actually do that in-game. And that's one of the things that I've heard discussed in regards to, Platinum's games. Because in Platinum's games, the things you do in-game are very generally closely tied to what you do, or should I say the things people are capable of doing in cinemas are also very closely tied to what people can do in the game itself. Also, something I don't think I realized is that if you go over an X spot, it removes one of your completed lines of code. So, almost started losing credits. Luckily, I did manage to make it in time. But that's something you see with Mass Effect. It's not usually an issue, because most of the time people in cinematics are usually just shooting each other. So there's usually that problem usually doesn't show up in this game, because usually people are taking cover, shooting at each other, using biotics to maybe lift each other in the air. It's only specifically because Jack uses her biotics to do this, like, super biotic punch that stands out. Also, that's something I need to remember, is that infiltrator ability, the stealth. Is not necessarily to use it just for its stealth ability, but also for its bonus damage. Also, if I start to get low on health, it's probably a good idea to use the stealth ability to back off, instead of turning around and running for cover while they're shooting me in the back. Also, one of the things that I was talking about in the original recording was the idea of the legality of the prison. Like, a space prison that houses the universe's most corrupt, most dangerous. Okay, in concept that makes sense. But then you start to consider exactly who's running the show. Like, the people that are running the show are the Blue Suns. They're not a government, they're not the council, they're not any system to speak of. They're just basically these gangsters. And they're doing it for money. The prisoners are presumably brought here and told, hey, we'd like you to store Jack here. Here is our fee.
Going dark.
Oh no, Zaid has been defeated. We'll miss having his banter, his smile. Is being run by gangsters, so there's clearly no legality to the prison itself, as much as that they are making it happen and people are paying for that. Though I would argue that, like, Yeah, she did like a stealth and then a melee attack. That's something I should probably try out later on, is to maybe do like a stealth and melee combination. Like use stealth to kind of get close to the bad guys, and then get that big hit in. Yep. Yeah. That is a useful combination. But I would say that does an individual government's usage of the prison, does the act of them paying for a prisoner to be held there legitimize it? Like, even if they don't necessarily recognize it, does that act as though, like, they are giving the existence of the prison their approval? On that same note, consider the council. In theory, the council or the specters, they would know of the existence of a space prison that houses over 4,000 people. Also, let's see, we got a safe here, we got some symbols, got ground, resistor, cuts across there, gate, and closed captioning. In theory, the council and the specters should know about the existence of a Blue Sun-controlled prison. Also, how much money is he basically throwing away by shooting those prisoners?
I can recapture Jack.
Not happening. You're a 2-bit slave trader and I don't have time for it.
I do the hard things civil governments are unwilling to. This is for the good of the galaxy.
I'm actually a hero in this story. A hero! So yeah, now we've got these things back. By the way, I'm technically shooting it in the right spot, but its hit point hasn't generated yet. So that's why I forgot about the fact that... came up with the fact that that one doesn't actually separate people, it just creates that shield which pushed them apart. But anyway, yeah. So the council would in theory know about it. My question is, are they not doing something because they don't know about it? Or are they not doing anything about it because they keep prisoners here themselves? And in theory, like, on that same note, on that argument that maybe having prisoners here legitimizes it as a prison, the council would be in a place in which they could pay for prisoners to be kept here, but not directly through them. They could always pay for prisoners to be kept here through Spectre, because Spectre's funding is not directly, is more or less invisible. It's kept off the books. So it's inherently possible that Spectre has multiple prisoners that are kept here. But one thing that would be interesting to note is that, like, he's still talking about trying to save Jack for himself. Like, he still has the belief that if he finds Jack, even though a lot of his prison is in flames, a lot of his airlocks have been vented, and in theory a lot of profits have been lost with it, a lot of guards have been killed, and now he's dead. He would still be able to recoup his losses if he got Jack back. Unnecessary slide. It was unnecessary. Levitate and punch!
Cerberus.
Cerberus makes me angry! Oh, so angry! I'll just punch the air.
What the hell do you want?
You're in a bad situation, and I'm gonna get you out of here.
Shit, you sound like a pussy.
You sound like somebody who wants to go back in their prison cell.
I'm here to ask for your help.
You show up in a Cerberus frigate to take me away somewhere? You think I'm stupid?
Yes.
The ship is going down in flames. We can get you to safety, and we're asking for your help.
We should just knock her out and take her.
I'd like to see you try.
We're not going to attack her.
Good move. Look, you want me to come with you? Make it worth my while.
I will give
My
you
team
not
and I'll do
just
what I can
one,
for you.
but two high fives.
I bet your ship's got lots of Cerberus databases. I want to look at those files, see what Cerberus has got on me. You want me on your team? Let me
You know,
go
that
through
seems
those
like a bit
databases.
short-sighted.
I'll give you
Like,
full
you get access to all of Cerberus
better be
files
straight
and
up
you're
with
just
me.
going to look at yourself. Like, I would imagine Cerberus
the
has
hell
got a
are we
lot of
standing here?
interesting information
Move
about a
out.
lot of interesting things. And yeah, notice how Kasumi had no dialogue for that entire mission. Recruited prisoner known as Jack for the team. Whatever Jack's real name is unknown. Purgatory's betrayal of Shepard, unacceptable. Fortunately was able to reverse credit transfer. May have to take steps against Blue Suns to demonstrate the consequences of interference. Though, to be fair, we just destroyed their prison, so, like, what kind of additional steps would you be expecting? Also, you could also consider the fact that this particular batch of Blue Suns is not directly related to the other batches of Blue Suns, like the ones that were fighting in the quarantine zone in Omega, for instance. Like, does the Blue Suns actually have some sort of... Actually, no, the Blue Suns does have a centralized leadership, because we did actually have to fight them in Zaid's mission. But how much control does he really have over every piece of his gang throughout the universe?
Welcome to the Normandy, Jack. I'm Miranda, Shepard's second in command. On this ship, we follow orders.
Tell the Cerberus cheerleader to back off, Shepard. I'm here because of our deal.
Miranda will let you into the system.
Awkward camera angle is awkward.
Hear that, Precious? We're going to be friends. You, me, and every embarrassing little secret. I'll be reading down in the hold, or somewhere near the bottom. I don't like a lot of through traffic. Keep your people off me. Better that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you because you were walking away from me as you were talking and muttering to yourself. You're gonna have to repeat that. Although you could say that's kind of like one of those issues with cinema in general, is anytime a character says something and somebody just enters the room and they just already know. By the way, where did Jacob go? Like, for some reason he left the room, and he doesn't actually come back until a little bit later.
Commander, you've received a new message at your private terminal.
From Mr. Ganak Ejhal Esquire. Dear Sir or Madame, having consulted with my colleagues at the Citadel, I have the privilege to request for your assistance to transfer a large quantity of Prothean technology uncovered Ilos. Believing these materials to be a hazardous danger, they were locked in quarantine. Even though the tests revealed that the fears were groundless, the quarantine remains in effect until one can pay for a permit to request a reclassification from the Cultural Ministry. Knowing of your interest in Prothean technology, I would be happy to deliver most of it into your hands, keeping less than half for myself. As a Batarian, I cannot engage in Council official activities, but if you transfer the 20,000 credits required to me, this exchange could be made in your name, enabling us both to profit from this happy accident. Please reply urgently with your credit transfer account information. Best regards, Ganak Ejhal. Oh, those scams that we got tons of money from, those were just happy accidents. By the way, How much money do I have? I've got like 316,000 credits. So basically, if I wanted, I could actually send him 20,000 credits and not really have to worry about it affecting my bank
Jack's
account.
tattoos are beautiful. As colorful as her past, I'm sure. I have concerns with her temper, though.
You have worries about Jack?
Most of her tattoos are in black,
Her
so...
attitude's just deep personal issues. She pushes people away, yet approaches sex casually. I don't think she understands her own motivations. Just be careful when talking about personal matters.
Do my
Question.
best not to piss her off.
Important
If
question.
you fail, I want a chance to hide. Anyway,
How does Callie already know about
anything I should know?
Jack's
right now.
sexual
Anything else,
preferences?
That'll be all.
Like, Jack just
I'll be here
showed
if you
up
need
on
me.
the ship. Like, she just showed up on the ship and then walked away from the communications room. Like, did she immediately leave the communications room? Like, bang 3 guys on her way down to the sub level?
But keep an eye on that last one. We can only hold so much crazy.
I assume everything's going well up here?
We're just having an argument over personalization of my workspace.
Cerberus regulations are clear, Mr. Moreau. Personalization does not include grease on my bridge cameras.
It's just mad that all its footage of me looks like a dream sequence.
That's it for now.
Alright.
See you, Commander.
Alright. Let's head back, talk to Morden, then see if Jacob reappeared in his spot in the armory. Spoiler alert, he does actually reappear for some reason. I don't know where he actually goes. Let's see. The thing in regards to the researching that makes me wonder about, you need to get like multiple unlocks in order to actually really unlock the ability to upgrade certain aspects. You need like multiple heavy pistol upgrade components at this point before I can actually do more upgrading in certain respects. And there's nothing else for me here, so let us talk to Morton, see what's going on.
Shepard, how can I help?
Have you got a minute to talk?
Yes, would like that, actually. Talked about work earlier. Time with Special Tasks Group studying genophage. It wasn't entirely honest. Lie of omission. Also, other kinds need to clear the air. Mission too important to keep secrets. Work on genophage was more than just study.
It's interesting that he specifies that it's a lie of omission. I remember hearing people say things like, "Oh, I just didn't tell you this. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you what was going on." But to specify that it's a lie of omission is interesting.
Krogan genophage.
Study at first, as I said, but uncovered surprising data. Krogan population was increasing at faster rate than expected. Krogan were adapting to genophage, overcoming disease.
That is interesting.
Did Krogan evolve, or did some of their scientists develop a treatment?
Krogan scientists.
Krogan scientists. You make me laugh.
No, natural evolution. Krogan physiology incredibly durable.
Also, not surprising that the Krogans would eventually evolve out of the genophage.
Natural hazard.
Like,
Krogan evolved past it.
The genophage was a terrible mistake. It nearly destroyed the Krogan and their culture. Now they have a chance to recover.
Naive viewpoint.
not really. We changed a few things.
Look at Krogan rebellions. Personally led a science team. Geneticists, chemists, sociologists, mathematicians. Created new version of genophage. Released it on Tuchanka, other Krogan-centric areas. Restabilized Krogan population.
You never considered other options?
Hundreds. Thousands. Modified genophage offered best outcome. Stabilized population, avoided publicity that could
We
incite
considered
public anger,
opening Walmarts
averted
up
potential
on
genocide, devastating
Tuchanka.
war. Best
We also
solution for all
considered
guys. Krogan included.
trying to improve their oh, by the way, creating we created a genetic disease, not for money, not for evil, but for good. I'll stop.
How did you distribute the modified genophage?
Covert drops, hospitals, clan centers, water supplies.
Although, actually, I do have some pointless trivia on that note. The other night I had a dream, not to spend too much time wasting your time on what happened in the dream, but at some point, I think I actually did say that line from the Street Fighter movie in the dream. So there is a chance that that might be. So if you're wondering why that line is just so much on my mind today, that might be it. Like, I think I just heard it repeated earlier this week through an outside Xbox video. And also, why not go all the way? Why not just kill off the Krogan?
Not a war criminal, not a murderer, genocide, unnecessary. Krogan as a whole, violent, aggressive, still have outliers, worth saving. Genophage modification protected galaxy, allowed Krogan chance to survive. Everyone wins. Good for us, good for them.
But clearly that line has been on my mind so much so that even while I'm sleeping, I'm dreaming of that quote to be said. Which is interesting to think about, considering that most of the time I don't really have quotes from movies or such repeated in my dreams, so the fact that that actually was there seems strangely meaningful.
Don't want me on team? Don't bring me.
Also,
work on collector research.
Creating a virus that kills like 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 20 of a particular species is most definitely a war crime. Also, I suppose that makes for a good time to speak because you're not really doing anything.
Commander, can I help you with something?
I'm more interested in just talking for a bit.
Sounds good. Have to say you run this ship tight, and we're getting things done. We keep on track and maybe we'll figure this out. I hope so. I'm not looking forward to the debrief if it all goes to hell. Is there something specific? Or are you just checking
Well,
in?
if it all goes to hell, we'll be dead, so you don't really have to worry about that.
I like to know my crew. Forget procedure. Tell me about yourself.
Informal, huh? Everything's in my file. Ex-Alliance like you, no Reapers or anything, but I got swept under the rug too. The more good you do, the less they want to admit that something needed doing.
What led you to Cerberus?
The Alliance sidelined me after Eden Prime. Ended up on a job with Miranda that Cerberus treated like an audition. And here I am.
What was his relation to Eden Prime? Because he wasn't actually on Eden Prime. Like, did the events of Eden Prime just affect how the Alliance determined their military?
Down the bad people. Cerberus keeps that line, I'm on their side.
What was your proudest career moment?
The job I'm proudest of wasn't for the Alliance. Nobody really knows about it. A Batarian group was plotting to release a weaponized virus and kill the Council. Miranda and I stopped it.
Strange that it wasn't bigger news.
The real work doesn't get publicized, you know that. They say it's better that people don't know how fragile the system is or how close the bad guys can get. So, it never happened.
Interesting how that same line is also used in the video game Control, in which somebody says, like, it's better for people to not know how just terrible the world actually is. Otherwise, they'd be like, whoa, I did not realize everything could slip up on a moment's notice.
They outdid themselves with you. Ask for any upgrades?
None needed, already
perfect.
perfect.
Couldn't hurt to keep some spare parts handy, though.
I hear that.
Although I suppose I did actually have to fix my face, so...
You know, I used to wonder what the big deal with you was. But now that we're in deep, I'm glad it's not me in the spotlight.
There's no hiding, Jacob. Not for any of us.
Also, is it just me, or does Jacob kind of look like Kanye?
If that's all, Commander, I'll get back to my duties. There's a lot to get ready.
Alright. So got a little bit about Jacob. Now just have to head down to the second level. Actually, now we're on deck 2. Sorry, deck 3 then. Talk to Miranda. Take a peek on Kasumi. And then on deck 4, you got Zaid and Jack, which is basically just Jack because Zaid is just going to stand there and spout a few catchphrases. And that's about it. Same thing goes with Kasumi, but we haven't really checked in on her yet, so all of her catchphrases are fresh. And she is actually in the port observation. There's some booze, some books.
The Red Rose. That used to be my calling card when I first started out. In places wherever I go, I left a single red rose. It wasn't until I met Keiji that I realized how silly it was. He had a way of making you realize when you were just being sentimental.
I suppose that would be pretty unnecessary. It would also mean that, like, for every job you did, you'd be carrying a rose on you or person at all times. And it would also make it easier for anybody who's trying to find you to kind of follow your trail. Like, if they don't know that you stole it, then they think that anybody could have stolen it. If they always know that you stole it, then they're always looking for you. Also, I'm not entirely sure what that's a painting of. Is that a painting of, like, UFOs? Speakers?
Don't laugh, I like those books. Romance novels, crime novels, the classics. There's something about the feel of actual paper in your hands, their musty smell. It's relaxing. Keiji used to find books for me while on the job. Some of these are more valuable than the objects he was hired to steal.
Ah, yes. The musty smell of old books. The feeling of mold on your fingertips. Truly, there is nothing like that.
People are talking out there, and I hear it all. I really appreciate your help with the Hawk heist. I know why we had to destroy Keiji's gray box, but it doesn't make it any easier.
Alright, let's pour ourselves some drinks. Let's have a little bit of red. Or orange. A little bit of purple. Make ourselves a good strong cocktail, knock ourselves off of our feet. Because Shepard needs something to take off that edge. Saving the galaxy. Shepard doesn't actually have her own booze section on her
Usually travel hidden away
part of the ships.
It's nice to be able to look out a window for a change.
Oh yeah? Well, how about look out the window now, Kasumi? Nope, that's the men's restroom. Shepard is drunk and is now walking into random rooms. By the way, I find it interesting, like, that you assign a first name.
What can I do for you?
Do you have a minute, Miranda?
There's a lot to do, Shepard. Maybe another
Like,
time.
how many people who play this game
Of course, Commander.
ever refer to the first name that they've assigned their character?
Rupert, there's something different
Like-
with tonight's meal. Seems like you put in more food and less ass.
Yeah, keep talking.
Like, this particular Shepard is named Jane Shepard.
Commander, I very much enjoyed sharing that ice brandy with you. But I hope I wasn't too unprofessional. Brandy goes straight to my head.
It's nice to see you let your hair down.
Guess I hadn't realized how much those feelings...
Her hair isn't exactly long enough to allow for much of other styling.
What do you think?
My feelings are my own.
Everyone's depending on us. We won't let them down.
They just don't make them like you anymore, Shepard. Well, promise me we'll share a bottle every year. The next one is on me.
Actually, we're going to be sharing a bottle every day. It's going to be expensive, and we're going to be drunk all the time. But that's part of what saving the galaxy is all about, is being incredibly drunk at all times. And liver damage, yep, that's the hero that we want. Commander Shepard, the alcoholic. Yeah, so there really isn't... so does anybody refer to their Commander Shepard by their commander's first name? Like, do they say when they're talking about their experience playing the game, or when they're talking about...
This mission takes me back.
To what? To what, Zaid? When they're talking about their experience of playing the game, has anybody actually ever referred to the first name they've given their Shepard? Which makes me wonder whether it would have just been better to just assign Shepard a first name. And that's a camera angle.
I picked up a lot of resources. Can you use them to help against the collectors?
I ran across the schematics for making L5X implants. Still got them in my head. You want to know what I need? Not usually my thing, but I've learned how to get things done on my own.
Also, I think that's something that I've skipped in regards the ability to acquire upgrades or research projects from other characters.
Hey,
so I'm gonna have to talk to the other characters to see if they have other research projects.
What do you think of Miranda and Jacob?
Jacob doesn't know who he is, but that's not my problem. Miranda's a Cerberus bitch. Knew that before she opened her mouth.
Although that's the thing with both Miranda and Jack,
What do you think of our
is
mission?
they're both arrogant. Possibly that arrogance is because of their abilities.
What about you, Jack?
I'm still finding out about me. Thanks for letting me look at these files.
And now the camera angle has even more boob. 25% increase in boob.
You're helping you, that's good enough
for
for
your
me.
viewing pleasure.
Don't be my buddy. You need me to kill for you, I need you for these files. Let's leave it there. Your friends at Cerberus are into some nasty things. I'm gonna find something I can use. I just know it.
Like, this game has gotten criticism in regards to its camera angles, more specifically for Miranda, because of the camera always kind of sitting at her butt level.
What happens when you find what you're looking for?
But the criticism, like, there's a lot of breast in this on these camera angles.
Their friends pay. The galaxy's gonna be a lot emptier when I'm done.
Their neighbors will pay. People who knew their names will pay.
They raised me in a research
People who
facility.
didn't
I
even know
escaped when I was
them
a
will
kid.
pay.
Been on the run ever since. And they've been chasing me ever since. But soon, I'm gonna chase them.
Also, this
Think about
camera
this a
angle
lot,
is
don't you?
fantastic.
I go to sleep with this. I wake up with it. Everyone I kill, I pretend it's the ones that did this to
Like
me.
her silhouetted against the red, the entire like image. It's not like black and white, black and red with the violence. It definitely looks very good, especially for her character, because her character is meant to be this kind of like incredibly angry person who's lashing out against the world.
Quiet, and hard to find.
So you don't really see her as an image as much as you see just a person with a gun.
You know, this ship is a powerhouse. You could go pirate, live like a queen. I could help.
Mission first, pirate later.
I don't have time for piracy.
When this is done, we'll either be dead or out here in space with this ship. Think about it. Lots of creds. Freedom to go wherever you want. And all the mayhem and fighting I want.
You seem to enjoy the killing.
I figure every time someone dies and it's not me, my chances of survival go up.
Yeah, that logic does not compute.
Yep.
That is like, that's like a John Wick scenario. Like, John Wick gets into a problem, so he kills people because that kind of makes the world safer for him. If he kills the person... Oh, by the way, this is some good dialogue.
Gunner couldn't serve a good haggis if his life depended on it.
But all haggis tastes like ass anyway.
Aye, but in the right hands, it could taste like mighty fine ass.
But like the whole John Wick scenario is like, John Wick is in he goes off to fight the people who wronged him, and in the process gets himself in more danger. So in order to do that, he has to now fight the people who are attacking him, and again in the process gets himself in more danger. So the act of killing any individual, like he kills more and more people.
What can I do for you?
But he definitely doesn't make the world a safer place for him.
A few ideas, yeah. Here, take a look.
He just makes it more dangerous, or at the very least, he ups the scale of the danger. He makes people realize they're going to actually need to do something about it. Also, a mineral scanner upgrade. It's nice to finally be able to access one.
Commander, what can I do for you?
It's too bad I didn't have it for when I was scanning planets before. But if I have any more planets to scan later, it'll be available to me. But yeah, like at the end of John Wick 2, going on to John Wick 3, like he kills the person who has been who is of the greatest danger to him, but in doing so, he's made himself an enemy to everybody, and thusly, that's why you have like the beginning of John Wick 3. And basically, yeah, John Wick as a character is basically that guy who's just constantly making bigger and bigger enemies.
Sorry, have done what I can. Focusing on
And
collector tech now.
they're doing more and more to try to take him
We'll
down.
be here if you need me.
So that entire ideology of, if I just kill more people, I'll be safe, does not compute. Like, the more people she kill, the more...
Any thoughts on how to prepare against the collectors?
The stronger her enemies will attempt to take her down.
The collectors cut her like butter. This armor just isn't top of the line anymore. People will die if we don't upgrade. Alliance had some new toys in secret dev before I left. I could try and pull a few favors.
Also, I forgot that talking to people actually leads to this kind of research, because upgrading the ship's armor is necessary to getting the best ending in the game. I believe, like, that's something, like, if you don't do these upgrades, if you don't do these loyalty missions, characters can die. I believe including Shepard.
Can I help you with something?
Any thoughts on how to prepare
I've got the best armor available. The rest is
Which would make this an ending I wouldn't be able to transfer to Mass Effect 3. But I would like to be able to transfer this in the best possible form from Mass Effect 2 to 3. That way, I have all of the characters available. And does Joker have any upgrades?
Commander.
He has nothing.
See you, Commander.
Thank you for watching. Questions, comments, recommendations for something to play next? Comment down below or send it on over to itsoundedgoodonpaper@gmail.com. That's itsoundedgoodonpaper@gmail.com. So long for now.